Let me tell you how the worst moment of my life turned into a fight for something bigger than just my own family, how one woman's cruelty ripped my daughter open, and how we put her behind bars for 12 years. You ever think you know your neighbors? Let me tell you, you don't not until blood's on your lawn and the news vans are circling your house. That's when you find out what kind of people are really living next door. It was one of those brutal summer afternoons in Oakwood Heights. Sky heavy as wet wool, everything sticky and mean. I'd just finished a 15-hour shift armed robbery at the Quick Mart, three drunk drivers, a mountain of paperwork that made me want to burn my badge. All I wanted was to fall into bed, maybe hug my daughter Sophie and pretend I wasn't exhausted to my bones. But the second I killed the engine, I heard her scream. Not just any scream, my little girl's voice, sharp as a knife, slicing the air. "Daddy, Daddy, please." Training goes out the window when you hear your child in pain. I dropped everything, ran around the house, and there she was, 12 years old, lying on the grass by the fence, her wheelchair on its side, one wheel spinning slow, blood soaking her white t-shirt, blooming out red and wet. That kind of blood you never forget. I hit my knees beside her, hands shaking so bad I could barely touch her. "Baby, what happened? Who did this?" She could barely breathe. "Mrs. Whitmore," she managed. "The HOA lady. She shot me, Daddy. She shot me." I lifted her shirt. There it was, a pellet buried deep just under her rib cage. Blood pouring out, skin already turning purple, swelling fast. Sophie's got muscular dystrophy, you see. She's always been fragile, but tougher than most grown men. This injury, though, this was bad. "Where is she?" My voice came out rough. Wasn't a sheriff's voice, wasn't a father's, just pure animal rage. Sophie just pointed. She went back inside. "The Colonial at the end of the street." She said, "I deserved it, Daddy." She said I was ruining the neighborhood just by existing. I fumbled for my phone, called 911 with hands that barely worked, called for backup, too. Pressed my handkerchief to Sophie's wound, whispering that she'd be okay, even though my own voice was shaking. She sobbed. "I was just reading my book, Daddy," in my chair by the fence. She started yelling about my wheelchair being ugly, about disabled kids not belonging in nice neighborhoods. I told her to leave me alone, and she shot me. Let me back up a second. Eleanor Whitmore had been the HOA president for 8 years, and she'd never missed a chance to make our life hell. Complaints about the wheelchair ramp, fines for leaving Sophie's medical gear visible in a window, nasty letters about how Sophie made other families uncomfortable. But this crossed every line there was. Paramedics got there in 4 minutes. They rushed Sophie to the hospital, and I climbed into the ambulance holding her hand all the way. My wife Rebecca met us at County General, her face drained of color, then red with fury when she saw all that blood. "Who did this?" she yelled. "Eleanor Whitmore," I told her, "with a pellet gun." Rebecca almost collapsed right there. "Doctors worked for 3 hours. We paced that waiting room like animals in a cage. Every second was agony. When Dr. Chen finally came out, still in scrubs, he said, "She's going to be okay. The pellet missed her organs by less than an inch. She's very lucky. But her recovery's going to be hard, physically and emotionally. Someone deliberately shot your disabled child. That leaves scars medicine can't touch." Yeah, I knew that already. I stepped outside, just needed to breathe to keep from losing my mind. That's when my phone buzzed. It was Deputy Williams. "Sheriff, we've got Eleanor Whitmore in custody, but you need to know what she said when we brought her in." I braced myself. She said, "That crippled girl has been ruining our property values for years. If the parents won't remove the problem, someone has to. I did what I had to do to protect our community." "She's got zero remorse, sir." My jaw clenched. "Book her for assault with a deadly weapon on a minor. Add aggravated assault and hate crime enhancement. Get a warrant for the gun search, her house, document everything. Do it perfect. No mistakes. I want this airtight." The week Sophie was in the hospital, I worked every angle, kept myself off the official case, but you bet I helped District Attorney Rodriguez build it strong. Security cam on our house had caught everything. Eleanor striding up, yelling at Sophie, pulling that CO2 pellet pistol from her fancy purse, firing at point-blank range into my little girl's stomach. 3 neighbors stepped up as witnesses. Mrs. Chen saw Eleanor shoot Sophie, then stand over her and say, "Maybe now your parents will learn that freaks like you don't belong here." Mr. Patel next door said Eleanor called Sophie defective merchandise, compared her to rats in a restaurant. The worst deputies found her journal. Pages and pages about hating my daughter, about how the Blake girl pollutes our neighborhood. She tried every legal trick to run us out, said the HOA rules aren't strong enough, that drastic measures may be necessary. Her last entry: "Today, I take action. A pellet gun leaves no permanent damage but delivers a message: your kind does not belong here. No remorse, not a flicker." Eleanor's arraignment was a circus. She wore a fancy suit, looked annoyed, not sorry. Her lawyer, a bulldog named Carmichael, tried to spin it as overzealous sheriff out for revenge. Judge Santos wasn't buying any of it. Your client shot a disabled child. This isn't about property values. Set bail at $750,000, trial in 8 weeks. Eleanor whispered to her lawyer, "Get me out of here. I'll have that judge removed." But Santos was an old pro. She didn't blink. Sophie came home after 6 days, but she wasn't herself. She flinched at loud sounds, cried at any mention of the case, refused to go outside. Sometimes I'd catch her staring at herself in the mirror, crying. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" I'd ask. She'd whisper, "Mrs. Whitmore was right. I'm ugly, Daddy. My legs don't work. I drool sometimes. I make weird sounds." She said I'm defective. Maybe I should just stay inside forever. That shattered me. I knelt by her chair, held her face. "You're perfect, Sophie. You're the best thing that ever happened to us. Your disability is just a part of you, not who you are. Mrs. Whitmore's the sick one, not you." But words only go so far. Eleanor's bullet had cut more than Sophie's skin. It had gone straight to her spirit. And for that, Eleanor would pay. The trial started on a gray October morning. The courtroom was packed: media, disability rights folks, neighbors. Eleanor sat at the defense table, head high, acting like this was all a big misunderstanding. D.A. Rodriguez played the security footage. The room went silent except for Sophie's screams echoing off the screen. Jurors looked sick. Neighbors testified, Mrs. Chen shaking with emotion. Mr. Patel repeating all those hateful things Eleanor had said about my kid. Dr. Ahmed told how Eleanor tried to get him to sign a petition to force disabled kids out of the neighborhood. Then Rodriguez read out those journal entries line by venomous line. By the end, the jury was crying. The defense tried to paint Eleanor as overwhelmed, said it was an accident, just a warning shot. Carmichael told the jury, "She made a mistake, but it's not attempted murder or a hate crime." But when Eleanor took the stand herself, she tanked her own case, said outright that Sophie polluted the neighborhood, that disabled kids belonged in institutions. Rodriguez just let her talk, her own words hanging in the air like poison. Sophie testified wearing a purple dress her grandma gave her. She was scared but brave. I was just reading a book about Narnia, because in those stories nobody cares if you're disabled. She told the jury how Eleanor called her disgusting, defective, said her parents should be ashamed. She pulled out a gun. I tried to wheel away, but my arms get tired. She shot me. She looked at Eleanor, voice shaking. "Why do you hate me so much? I never did anything to you. I was just trying to exist." Nobody could look away, not even Eleanor's lawyer. Closing arguments, Rodriguez didn't hold back. Eleanor Whitmore shot Sophie Blake because Sophie is disabled, not because she did anything wrong. She tried to destroy a child's spirit because she didn't want to see her. The evidence is clear, her own words, her actions, the video. You must find her guilty. Send a message that hatred like this won't stand here. Jury took 2 hours, 17 minutes, guilty on all counts. Eleanor's face went white as a sheet. Her lawyer just slumped. Rebecca sobbed into my shoulder, and Sophie, clutching my hand, whispered, "We won, Daddy. We actually won." "Yeah, we did. Sentencing came 3 weeks later. Judge Santos was blunt, said she'd rarely seen such cold, calculated hatred. You targeted an innocent child over months, then carried out your plan. Your lack of remorse is terrifying. You are a danger to vulnerable people. 12 years in state prison, minimum 10 before parole, plus $750,000 restitution to my family for everything Eleanor took from Sophie. Eleanor exploded, screaming about how 12 years for a pellet gun was insane, swearing she'd appeal. Judge Santos just looked at her and said, "The evidence was overwhelming, Mrs. Whitmore. Your own words sealed your fate." Deputies cuffed her and led her out, still raving. I can't say I felt satisfaction, not exactly, but it was like the universe had finally tilted back where it belonged. Outside, the reporters swarmed. I stood with Sophie beside me, told them this case was about more than one woman shooting a child. It was about whether disabled people have the right to exist in public without fear. Today, the system said yes. Some critics accused me of using my badge to get special treatment. Nah, I recused myself. The evidence spoke for itself. Video witnesses, her own words. Anyone would have fought for their child. I just trusted the system. The appeals failed. Eleanor went off to prison. Her husband divorced her in 6 months. Her friends disappeared. The HOA booted her and rewrote the rules to outlaw discrimination, finally issued a formal apology to us. But real healing didn't happen in a courtroom. It happened slow. Sophie started therapy, joined an online group for kids who'd been bullied for being disabled. She wrote poetry, started painting again. A year after the shooting, I found her out front painting a girl in a wheelchair with butterfly wings. She grinned at me, her real grin, not the scared one she'd worn for months. "It's me, Daddy. If I could fly, I'd go anywhere. But even without wings, I can still go anywhere I want." That's when I knew she was going to be okay. She'd survived not just the bullet, but the hate. 5 years later, Sophie graduated valedictorian, gave a speech about resilience, about fighting for disability rights, about refusing to let hate define you. She went to college to help other kids like her. Eleanor Whitmore is still rotting in prison, still convinced she did nothing wrong. Some people never change, but my daughter did. She became even more herself, strong, brave, unstoppable. That's what real justice looks like. Not just punishing the monster, but making sure the victim gets to thrive. Sophie's scars, inside and out, are proof she survived. Proof the hate didn't win. And if you ask me, that's a whole lot more powerful than any prison sentence. So tell me, what do you think real justice is? Is it seeing the villain locked up? Or is it seeing the survivor fly? Share your thoughts below. Tell us where you're watching from, and if you believe in standing up for the vulnerable, hit like and subscribe. This world needs more people who fight back when cruelty tries to win.